LeighTDickey.com. What's going on, everybody? Leigh Dickey here. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast. Today, on a special bonus show, I give to you my interview with Canadian rapper, comedian, entertainer Jon Snow. Now, Jon is from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and we got hooked up through a mutual friend, a mutual connection. So getting to go back and forth with Jon in terms of setting up this interview was incredibly easy, incredibly straightforward. And even, getting to talk to him for as long as I did, it was amazing. The length of this interview is great. We talk everything from his musical loves, his musical influences, from 50 Cent to The Game and Hanson, the Backstreet Boys, Blink-182, just, all his musical tastes and all his musical influences and his life, where it was and where it is and who he has become. And I suppose the real pièce de résistance, the real salt and pepper to this interview was the fact that the day we recorded this interview was the day before the Big Brother Canada auditions for Season 8. And that is something that Jon auditioned for. He was going to audition for this upcoming season for Big Brother Canada. We talk a lot about that and basically anything and everything and who Jon is. It was just amazing to have him on the show and go back and forth with him in terms of setting it up and then executing the interview. It was fantastic. I loved having him on. So Jon, if you're listening to this, thank you for reaching out and thank you for coming on the show. It was a real pleasure to have you. If you ever want to come back and do another episode and have another good old-fashioned conversation, my inbox is always on, my door is always open, and there will always be a spot for you here. To find my guest, Jon Snow, you can find him on Instagram at Jon Snow King of the North, and then Jon Snow on Facebook and YouTube. Of course, I will put all those links in the description below. So now that you know where to find my guest, Jon Snow, I'm going to tell you where you can find me and this podcast, the Beats and Speaks podcast, right now. Okay, so the new episodes of the Beats and Speaks podcast go live every Friday at midnight Eastern Time on iTunes, Spotify, my official website, LeighTDickey.com, and your favorite podcast app and player of choice. Please leave us a review, like, comment, and share. You can leave reviews on your favorite podcast app and player of choice. You can also leave reviews on my official Facebook page, which is facebook.com/LeighTDickey, and I will feature them right here on the Beats and Speaks podcast, as well as my official website, LeighTDickey.com. If you'd like to be a guest on a future episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast, please email me at LeighTDickey, that's LeighTDickey @gmail.com, and we will set something up and go from there. You can also find us on YouTube under Leigh Dickey TV. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment there as well. Again, thank you to my guest, Jon Snow, for coming on. But now that you know where to find Jon and myself and the Beats and Speaks podcast, let's get into the main event. Let's get into why you're here. My interview with Canadian rapper, comedian, and entertainer, and Big Brother Canada, future Big Brother Canada champion, Jon Snow, right now on the Beats and Speaks podcast.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Jon Snow, and you're listening to the Beats and Speaks podcast with Leigh Dickey.
So, Jon, I want to welcome you to the Beats and Speaks podcast. And I appreciate the fact that you wanted to do the show, and it took a little while, but we finally got something set up. So thank you for coming on the show and doing this.
You're welcome, buddy. I'm psyched to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So why don't you? I'm going to give you the floor. Okay. Why don't you tell my audience and myself a bit about yourself and who you are?
All right, so my name is, I go by Jon Snow, but I used to go by Bobby Franchise. I've been rapping now for almost over 18 years, almost close to 19 years, man. I've been around, I've traveled, I've always haven't had the best, circumstances in life, but I've always overcame them, and I've always, become stronger from them. So, I end up making a YouTube channel for Bobby Franchise. I named it Franchise 666, and 666 is the devil. I don't mess with the devil no more because, it's not a good thing. So I ended up having to change my name. I built a name and had to change it and just get rid of it. So that's a hard thing for people to do, but I did it because it was for the best. So now I've been just like grinding hard. I've been off parole now for a few months. I just finished doing 9 years in the pen for some mistakes that I made when I was younger, and a lot of people say, well, how did you do it? How did you make it through 9 years? Well, how couldn't I? Like, I wasn't going to give up, right? You know what I mean? So I had to like learn and become stronger through it. But I'm glad now that I look back at it, I'm glad I went through it because it made me stronger today. And now I'm just like out here trying to help inspire people, encourage people with my music, with my jokes, my laughter. My basic moral of life is to live, love, and laugh. Right?
And that's a good motto to go by. I mean, you've turned your life around, and
Yeah.
you seem like a stand-up guy. And
I try to be.
And then the fact that you're on this show is a testament, I guess, to myself and having people on the show and having something that people want to talk about. But I'm just happy to have you here and have you promote how you feel and the story that you want to tell.
Positivity, man. It's a law of attraction. What you put in the universe is what you get back, right?
Definitely. So you mentioned that you're a rapper.
Yeah.
And you've been doing that
for a long
time, like almost 18, 19, probably almost 20 years. So who are your biggest influences in terms of like hip hop and rap?
Well, honestly, man, I grew up like a skateboarder kid, so I was like listening to like Blink-182 and like all them things. And then when I went to high school, man, 50 Cent came out, and I'm telling you, he was hard. He was hard, man, and he got shot 9 times, and man, he was gangster, right? So Eminem, 50 Cent, and then really what inspired me was The Game. The Game really got me into wanting to rap. You know what I mean? It also got me into wanting to be a gangster, which kind of turned out to actually happen, which, we won't manifest that kind of stuff no more, right? We ain't manifesting that stuff no more, but it really got me into it. So The Game, I would say The Game and 50 Cent kind of inspired it, but there's been many more along the way that kind of kept it going. Like when I was into it, Drake, when Drake first came out, I was really, really feeling his hunger and his energy. And, nowadays it's pretty much my boy, Tom McDonald, that really inspires me to keep going, man. He's got a fire. He's got a divine purpose. He's speaking the truth. I don't know if you heard of Tom yet.
I have not. I will definitely. I'll look him up though.
Yeah,
that's
Tom McDonald. Sure. Yeah, he's dope.
But well, you mentioned Blink-182, and then getting into hip hop. So that's it's two different ends of the spectrum there. That's
for sure, definitely, 100%. I didn't expect it, right?
Where did that love, I guess, for like Blink-182 and the punk pop scene sort of start?
Skateboarding, man.
That's it, eh?
Yeah, you watch skateboard videos, they play that kind of music, and I always liked Blink-182. I always liked Tom DeLonge. He was always a good singer, man. He made a couple different bands too, like Boxcar Racer and Angels and Airwaves. I like what he talks about, man. It's like, when you listen to music and you get those like goosebumps and like in the back of your neck, man, like that's why I listen to music. That's why I create music, to have people feel that, like music these days, you don't feel nothing, man. And it's just poison. Right?
Yeah. It's all just an auto-tuned mess.
Yeah.
At this juncture, you're just like, okay, so you guys like this. I find that as I get older, I'm turning into my grandfather.
Oh man, me too. I don't even go out anymore. Like I see these kids going out and stuff. Like, man, I'm an indoor cat now, bro.
Yeah, well, even like in terms of like music, right? Like somebody will turn on the radio or they'll have something on Spotify, and they'll love it, and I'm like,
turn that racket down, you young hoodlums.
Basically, yeah. Just like, what you guys call this music, do you?
Yeah, no doubt. That's funny.
And they're like, it's great. I'm like, what language is this?
Yeah,
I have to ask because it's like
mumble.
Yeah,
mumble language.
Like, what is this? And they're like, it's the hottest thing. I'm like, oh boy, we're doomed, aren't we?
For sure. We're not doing. There's a new wave of conscious artists coming out right now, man. And honestly, I feel like we're gonna take over here soon.
Well, I'm looking forward to like whatever music you put out. You turn me on to Tom McDonald now, so I will look him up for sure.
Kairos and Little Turtle, remember those guys? Those guys are doing big things. Of course,
those guys will. I mean, whether you're local or you're international, it doesn't matter. As long as you put out good music, the world will turn on to it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And honestly, I believe showing love is also good. A lot of people show hate these days, man. And I show love, man. And it gets me farther, right? It gets me farther than hate ever would. Love beats hate every time.
Of course. Well, I mean, I have these conversations with people all the time because everybody's on social media these days, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or whatever. And it seems that like every time you turn one of those on or you log into one of those apps, that if it's 10 o'clock in the morning and somebody hasn't complained, then something's wrong.
Oh man, you don't even know, man. Like a lot of days I just go through my news feed and I just look for people like who are just feel like I feel like they're more like suicidal. Where you can tell posts, right? When people are like, man, I give up. I'm not. So I try to look for that. I try to uplift people, man. I spend a lot of time in my news feed doing that. And a lot of people don't know that stuff, but you know what I mean? I really try to make sure that people aren't feeling that way because I lost my best friend Radar. You know, he didn't want to live on anymore, and he ended up overdosing on some drugs and stuff. And I didn't get to say goodbye, man. I was going through my own, so I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. So now I try my best to uplift anyone who feels that way because I know deep down that's just the devil trying to lie to them. So I try to do my best, man.
Well, I mean, you are doing your best, and I think that's the only thing that any of us can do. But why don't you tell me about a bit more about the impact that music's had on you? So, what is the first album that you've ever purchased or that you ever remember, like the biggest?
Oh man, you're gonna
that
laugh.
Had the biggest influence on you?
Honestly, man, Hanson, Middle of Nowhere.
Really?
And man, I was big into Hanson, bro. Like honestly, like I remember one time I went to Halloween one year as Taylor Hanson. Oh, I shouldn't have swore, but whatever. Word. I was,
right,
man, I was like a little kid. I was a little kid, man. I was just like, I thought they were just the coolest people ever, man. I don't know. I was like,
well, that was their biggest single. That's the album that Bop came off of, I think, right?
Yeah. Where's the Love? All them albums, yeah.
Yeah. Just I remember having. I don't know. I might still have it, but I think I bought it.
I was hardcore, man. I had their Christmas album, man. I had everything, man. I ordered it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's because
I was just a kid, man. I was just like 12 years old, whatever, you know.
Yeah, whatever. I think you and I are around the same age, so.
Yeah. First it was Backstreet. I was into Backstreet Boys a lot, you know, and then boom, Hanson came out, and it's like bye bye Backstreet Boys, see you later.
There you go, right? We're going from like, Backstreet's Back to like Bop. Like,
but you know what? Honestly, man, I remember back now. Honestly, I think it was like the first real album that I bought myself was the Limp Bizkit. Limp Bizkit, the first one where they had Nookie on there. Remember that one?
Yeah, I do.
Limp Bizkit, I think because Fred Durst was more of a sort of rapper, so I think that might have like kind of inspired the rap thing maybe a little bit.
Yeah, because they
something a little more different.
Yeah, because they sort of mixed like the new metal meets hip hop, and I'm not even gonna deny it. I like back in the day, I loved Limp Bizkit.
Who didn't? That red hat. Everyone had that red New York Yankees hat.
Yeah. Well, I think that's when like fitted hats really came into fashion, back in those days.
And Fred put New Era fitted hats on the map, straight up.
And it was like I remember rocking out to My Way when that came out. A whole
Highway, the highway. That's a dope
pretty
track.
much. Like it was one of my favorites for sure. And this is back in the days of like CDs and cassettes, kids, by the way.
Do you remember those things? Those CDs things? Those, what do you call them? CDs, right?
Yeah. The compact discs, the things that cost like $14.99 at an HMV.
Quick story with that. My boy Tom, he actually just put out an album called Ghost Stories. Mm-hmm. And what he did was he actually only put out physical copies. And he only put out physical copies because he wants people to have that feel of having something in their hand, right?
Smart.
So you know what? And anybody who honestly, the album is dope, man. And anyone wants to get it, you can get it at www.hangovergang.com, and that's Ghost Stories. That's a physical copy, so you feel like you're a kid again. You know what I mean? Get something to open up, right? And I think that's a very smart strategy.
Yeah, and the only thing is you have to have a CD player to obviously listen to them.
Yeah, or a computer or a car, right? But you can also put it on your phone. You can, but just having that, a lot of people that buy the album like put it up, like they put it in like frames and stuff because Tom has a really good fan base, right? And honestly, they not only helped me, they help each other, man. It's really crazy, man. Like a lot of people are out for themselves, but Hangover Gang is definitely, for each other, man. And it's rare these days, and I love it.
Well, I mean, if you want to pick up that album, go to hangovergang.com. And so what would you say are the biggest lessons you've learned going through what you've gone through to where you are now?
The biggest lesson I've learned, that I'm going to keep learning lessons, and the tests are going to keep coming, bro. And that, none of it's meant to kill me. It's only meant to make me stronger. And if I change the way I think, I can change the way I live, right? So if I look at my past and like, oh well, poor me, poor me, poor me, I'm always going to feel like that. But if I look at my past and like, yo, that stuff made me a better person, stronger because of it, I'll think of it differently. I'll be thankful for why I went through that, right? A lot of people don't understand why they're going through a certain situation, and maybe they never will. But usually, I know for a fact that, okay, this is a time for me, but it's gonna turn into something good afterwards. So I try to always keep that in my mind, right?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's a good way of looking at something like that, right?
For sure. The lessons keep coming, man.
Yeah, I mean, the farther the more you grow, the farther you go.
Yeah, I like that.
But with your music, and
Yes.
I'm curious, like, what are you trying to accomplish musically, and what do you want people to take from your music?
Honestly, man, I'm trying to spit truth. I'm trying to, change the way people think about certain stuff. Everyone's listening to this negative stuff, man, with all this like drugs. Like, listen, I'm just sick of people, listening to these guys talk about all these drugs that I don't believe they even do, and they poison the youth. So I'm trying to just kind of spit some truth. Like, it's more of like a positive way. Like, I always try to spit positivity. I try to uplift people, through my music, through my jokes, through whatever, one-on-one experiences. I'm just trying to keep it real. I only rap about stuff that I feel, I don't try to promote any kind of, violence or crime. I did that stuff, man. I really did that stuff in all Calvin's 9 years in prison. So I'm trying to like help young artists who are talking about that, living that, to try to like switch their ways, man, because I know what it gets you, and it doesn't get you anything good, man. And I did survive 9 years in prison, but not everyone can. You know what I mean? It's a tough place, man. It's a jungle in there, right? So if I can help anyone with my music or anything, sort of switch their ways, man, that's why I do it, right?
Do
And
you
I do
think
it
a
for God.
lot? Do you
God.
think a lot of people, when it comes to music nowadays, or when you were coming up, like you had mentioned, you'd gotten into like 50 Cent, The Game. I'm assuming G Unit was in there too.
Oh, yeah, Lloyd Banks, Young Buck, yeah.
Yeah. So are, are you do you think a lot of people are listening to this sort of idolizing sort of like the wrong people, and just sort of like, that's me?
100%, bro. Because I remember when I was really living my like trying to be gangster days and really going hard. I was listening to a lot of Uncle Murder, and the violence and stuff was like fueling my anger and hatred, man. Yeah, 100%. That music does that stuff. 100%.
We even when you're like a teenager and you're going through your adolescent years, like you're full of your hormones are everywhere, and
Yeah,
you're angsty all the time. I mean, I know I went through it, because
for sure.
I listened to a lot of hip hop in high school.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I I started at the tail end of elementary, and I listened to a lot of like LL Cool J.
Okay, so you came in at like like a lighter wave of it. You didn't come in when it was full gangster. You came
Pretty
in
much,
like LL Cool J gangster, which is it's all right.
it's well, bubble gum. So if you want to call it that, I
Sure.
don't care. But
Yeah.
as I got into high school, like for me personally, like 50 Cent, his debut album came out, I think the year I graduated elementary, and then it was really hot going all through high school, and then it was, I think, what was the name of it? His second album came out. I was in the 11th grade
Second
or something.
album. Well, his first album was Get Rich or Die Trying, and the second was like The Massacre, I think.
Yeah. So I think The Massacre
Yeah.
came out and in about 2005, so I would have been like the 11th grade. So, I mean, I remember I enjoyed those albums, but as I got older, I was like, what in the world was I listening to? Just
Oh,
like,
sure.
why?
Definitely garbage for sure. Poison, 100%.
Well, it's not even like, if that's your craft, that's your craft. But I was just kind of like looking back at my own life, and I'm thinking to myself, and this was probably just a few years later. I was like, why am I listening to this stuff? Because
For
like,
sure. And a lot of the youth these days, they can't differentiate what's real and what's fake. So, they're listening to these artists rap about stuff and they're thinking it's real when a lot of it's not, bro. Really,
it's
it's
just
not.
Yeah, that's all that it is. It's just it's designed, ladies and gentlemen. This might come as a shock to you. It's designed to sell records. It's
100%.
designed to make them money.
Yeah,
They may have done some of this stuff on record. They may not have,
you may not have, yes. So don't
but
believe everything you hear, right?
pretty much.
Yeah,
And like it's just designed to make the artist money. It's designed to make the label money.
no doubt.
That's
That's true.
all that it is.
So my plan is I don't even really care. I'm not even trying to sign no record deal, man. Not for one, I don't want to be controlled, and for another, I don't want them taking half my money because I know the industry inside out. I know they charge it for every single thing. I know they keep a lot of money, so I'd rather just do it all on my own and keep all my profits so I can do something good with it, right?
Well, everybody's doing that nowadays. I mean, I know personally myself, I have several albums on iTunes and Spotify, and
Nice.
I release them independently.
Yeah, that's why my
So,
plan is to do it.
and it it works. It's a solid way to go about things. Everybody's doing the independent route these days
Yeah,
because you can't if you have say solid marketing strategy or a solid fan base,
yeah.
people will gravitate towards things that they like because of the advent of the internet and where we are now anyway.
Sure. But you know what? These artists these days are so hungry to try to make it, man. They're willing to sign any deal, bro. And a lot of these deals are meant to screw them over. You know what I mean? Like they don't understand that if they don't sell these records, like say you get an advance, let's say $30,000 advance, right?
Yeah.
Get a deal. If you don't sell these records, man, you're gonna be in debt. You're gonna they're gonna get rid of you. Like it's not gonna be good, right? So I would suggest any young artist to think twice before signing any deal and to make sure that it's legit.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I can tell a personal story on my own show. Why not?
Yeah,
So I was approached a few years ago by a small indie label,
yeah,
and I remember they had approached me, so I wasn't looking for the deal,
yeah.
and they had come to me with this deal, which was basically like, we will help you with marketing, and if you need like cover art design, if you need any sort of mixing and mastering or production, let us know. And I think the original deal was something like I would get 85% and they would get about 15, or I would get 80% and they would take 20.
Which
But
that's not bad if it was only that though. That
yeah,
was it.
no,
But they charge it for everything though, which is crazy.
it was, I mean, that would have been fine.
Yeah.
But I remember because it took me so long to get my first album completed and out, that my rep at that label had come to me later and was like, "Yeah, we'd like 90%." And I was like, "No, just like this is where we have a parting of the ways."
So what they wanted to give you not they wanted to take 90%?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I'd be like no thanks. Here,
just
beat
this
it.
is no, I'm good because I mean the thing with all my records, I do
Yeah.
all the writing, all the mixing, all the mastering, all the production, the cover art.
Yeah.
That's all me.
Basically, they need you really.
Yeah. So they're like, "Here, we want to take 90." I'm like, "No, I'm cool, bro. We can just part now. Like,
For
you,
sure. For
you
sure.
can
That
pretty much
it takes a big man. It takes a big man to give up that, right? Because a lot of these kids wouldn't these days just to have that clout or whatever they want to call it.
Well, I mean, they're just like, I got signed. I mean, don't get me wrong. When they approached me, I was excited. I felt validated, but it was like, yeah, I'm going to take,
For sure.
like, when they come to you and go, we want 90%, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. You
Yeah.
guys can stay over there and I'll be over here.
Because
Just
it
kind of
is
do it.
us doing all the work, right? You know what I mean? Pretty much. Like a lot of people, they offer this help, but they don't know what they're offering. They can't really offer it, man. I'm more of a army one man force than any of these labels, man. I'm out here, on social media everywhere, man. I'm doing a lot, man. One man army, and people are watching for sure.
And, well, the funny thing, like, somebody had said this to me years ago, is that because of the advent of social media and the internet and, like, everything's basically at our fingertips now,
Yeah,
is that the entire, like, everybody is basically local.
Exactly. That's why I love it. I don't kind of leave my house, man. Like, honestly, I used to go out downtown when I was younger and get in fights and stuff, and everyone wants to cause drama. Nowadays, man, I'm kind of nervous about that because I'm older now, right? Like, so I get to just chill inside, but I get to interact with so many people, man. It's really quite fun.
Yeah, like with age comes wisdom, and I know, speaking from experience, even with this show, like the people that I've interviewed, they're some of the most down to earth, greatest people that I have ever had the pleasure of having on this show and having talked to.
No doubt, no
You know,
doubt.
I think with age, like I said, with age comes wisdom, and we all just want to, like, why would you not just want to have a nice, cool,
Yeah,
calm, like positive, relaxing life, you know?
exactly.
But
But like
let's,
a lot of these young guys, they don't realize it until they're older anyway, right? So it's just experience in life you'll get there eventually.
it's just, yeah, I mean, all it takes is getting knocked around a little bit, and then you're just like,
Really.
okay, maybe I don't want to keep getting knocked around anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get into Big Brother Canada. I mean, this is
Oh,
huge. This is big. You're
well, this is big, but
as of recording, the auditions for Big Brother Canada, and I should let everybody know that you're out in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
I'm in Halifax, yes, and there tomorrow between 3 and 6 down on Brunswick Street. It's a sports bar. I don't know the exact address right now. I should have had that on hand, but it's posted on my Facebook, man. If anyone wants to go, I'll see you there. It's gonna be awesome. And it's funny because I've been going really hard with it, right? You know, my memes and my post for Big Brother Canada, and I actually got messaged. I don't want to say the name, but I got messaged by a previous player, and he was like pretty much wishing me good luck. And then he was like giving me pointers, giving me tips. He's like, "Yo, you're going too hard on social media. You know, production watches everything, and they don't want anyone knowing anything." So he pretty much told me to keep no more buzz, no more buzz. Because I told him I was trying to create a buzz, right? He's like, "No more buzz. Big
Mm.
Brother Canada is really secretive, right?" So either that was them prepping me for it, or just a past player giving me tips.
Yeah.
Either way, it's dope. It's dope. It's amazing either way.
And the fact that this former player, former contestant on Big Brother Canada reached out to you and was like, "Look, man, you might want to pull back the reins for a little bit."
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
that is really cool. And as much because honestly, my plan was because after the auditions, because they still have till November 19th to do the online application. After the auditions, I was gonna go 10 times harder. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that he told me that because I don't want to piss them off, right?
Of course. Well, I mean, like,
Because already I'm at a disadvantage for my criminal record, which I don't know if they know about it yet, but I'm gonna try to I'm using it as a positive note, man, and I don't know. I just hope it doesn't be the determining factor. But I've talked to a few players before, and they said that criminal records aren't a disqualifier. You
mm,
know, basically it's all about ratings to them. So
yeah,
hopefully it is the case, and they can see that my life has changed, and that I'm trying to do this for a good reason. You know what I mean? I'm not only do I want the championship, I think I can win it. Also, that $100,000 could really change my life in a positive
there.
way,
I mean,
and a lot of others too.
$100,000 is like, that's not chump change.
No, man, it could get my mom out of the ghetto. You know what I mean? It can get me a nice little, down payment on the condo or whatever. It could really set me up to where I'm not, struggling as much as I am right now. And I'm
So
not struggling that much right now, but you know what I mean? It's tough.
wait, everybody would like a little more, right? You'd like a little
Yeah.
padding,
Yes, for sure.
say.
Yes.
So, like, what drew you to Big Brother Canada? Like,
Man.
explain that to me, because I don't
So
understand the draw.
I watched the regular Big Brother when I was younger, and honestly, man, Dan Giesling won Big Brother Canada or Big Brother season 10, and they brought him back to play in season 14, and he almost won the second time, but he had a bitter jury. And I'm telling you, watching the gameplay, watching the strategy, the moves, man, I was addicted, man. Same with Survivor. Survivor's like the same sort of thing. Like I'm hooked on it. I'm hooked on the gameplay, the moves. Like I love it when there's like a big move played. Like, and that's what when I go play, man, I'm not going in there scared to play. I'm going in there to play. You know what I mean? So when these guys are like, oh, I don't know if I should make this move, I'm like, man, make that move. Here, let's do that. You know?
Yeah. I mean,
So yeah.
you're probably only on the show once, and you only get an opportunity like that once, so you might as well make the most of it, right?
Yeah. So when Big Brother Canada came on, I was in prison, but I loved it, man. I watched every season. You know, I was like hooked on it, and I just loved it. I loved what they do, right? And when after I think it was after season 5, there were rumors of canceling the show, or was like not coming back. And I'm telling you, I was so upset, man. I was like, man, it can't be possible. I'm meant to be on the show. They can't be done. I'm meant to be on the show. And what do you know? They came back, right? And it's all happening. So I feel like this is part of my destiny. I feel like I'm meant to win it. I feel like that is going to propel me to the next level of my career, which is amazing. So I just thank God in everything I do.
Well, like you mentioned that the prize money, which is nothing to sneeze at, it's $100,000, and that's Canadian, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
But
the
even
exposure,
then,
the exposure is way more valuable than the money, I think.
fair. But like $100,000 Canadian, even then, is nothing to sneeze at. So,
Yeah.
what would you do with all that prize money?
First things first, I'm going on the World Poker Tour, trying to win a couple more championships.
A couple million, yeah.
You know what I mean? I would invest in music. I'd probably invest in a few features with some artists that are worth it. You know what I mean? Maybe do like a couple nice videos. I would definitely put at least 20 grand on a condo. You know what I mean? Definitely have to buy a place for sure. And you know, I don't know. I would just try to like use it for good.
Yeah, I mean that is the best way to look at it. I have this, and I've been given it, so
Yeah.
it's sort of like a gift, if you want to call it that. And I might as well use these talents and my gifts for good, whether it's $100,000 or whatever else you have.
Well, there's more to the prize because there's a $25,000 brick furnishing, so you get your furniture. There's a trip for 2 anywhere around the world. You know, the prize is more than just 100 grand, man. There's a lot to it. Plus the exposure and the opportunities from winning it would be just incredible, man. Like,
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, you'd be all over. You'd be on national Canadian television, so that's huge.
for sure, 100%. So that's, you know, it's not about the money for me as much as the championship. The championship will live forever. The money won't.
Fair.
Right?
Just invest it in some shrewd things, and I think you get yourself a nice little nest egg there.
I just need to win it first, and then I'll invest it in. I just need to win it first, and then
Just
we can invest it.
Don't forget the guy that has you on his podcast, eh?
Well, man, as soon as I win, I'll come back on the podcast, bro. You'll have your first Big Brother Canada winner on the podcast.
Sounds good. But as we wrap up here, like I'm gonna ask you just a few more questions.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
going back to Big Brother Canada,
Yeah.
where like you mentioned that you fell in love with it while you were in prison, and that you didn't want it to go away, and they came back.
Yeah, they came back. Thank God.
So, like, are there players from past seasons that kind of really made an impression on you or influenced you in any way?
Honestly, man, Bruno was one of them from season 3 and 5. Godfrey came in second place in season 3. I was really upset about that season because I wanted him to win. And actually, you know, I've sent Godfrey some of my music, and he was really pumped on it. So, you know, John Party from season 2 was dope. You know, he won the whole thing. That was an epic game. Prince of Kelowna, the Pretty Boys, Dane did a really good job. I also liked the brothers in season 3. They did a good job, or seasons 5, I think it was, or 6. I can't remember. All the seasons are, no, there was definitely season 3. I mean, the seasons are getting crazy, man. There's a lot of them. No, it's season 4.
They're all over the place, I know.
Yeah,
I mean, that seems to be the Big Brother formula, where you're just all over the place.
But you know, honestly, man, the Dane I wanted to win, but there hasn't been a lot of them. Like, I'm usually really good at picking winners from the first day. Like, I picked many Survivor winners from the first episode. I picked them from day 1 and go to the very end. And there's nothing like a feeling like picking your guy from the first and watching him win at the end, man. I'm telling you, it's like an electricity going through your body, man.
Yeah,
and you get to see the vote coming in. It's crazy.
I think, well, when it came to Survivor, like, I'm not really into that kind of thing, but I did try to sort of ingratiate myself with the first season. I think that's when Richard won the $1 million, right?
Yeah.
And I tried. And to be honest, I was more surprised because I think I might have been like 12 when Survivor hit the air.
Yeah.
All those years ago. Not that I'm saying I'm old now, but you get the idea. But when he won, and then like not too long after, you hear about all the the problems that he had to go through. I was like, well, maybe like reality TV is not all that worth it. But then again, you have somebody like yourself who's trying to use their gifts and their talents in a positive way. And I mean, I wish you nothing but the best on Big Brother Canada with your audition. And I certainly hope you win the $100,000 and you get to come back on the show and tell me about your experiences and give us some behind the scenes tidbits. And I'm sure that the entire country will be watching. So
for sure, that's what I was like. I'm just gonna manifest it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds perfect. So, like, John, I want to thank you for coming on the Beats and Speaks podcast today. Very quickly, where can everybody find you if you're on social media?
I'm on Instagram, Jon Snow, King of the North, all one word, so that's easy. Jon Snow on Facebook, Jon Snow on YouTube, pretty much all the same name, right? I try to keep it the same for everything. I
mean, cool. Thank you again for doing this. That's Jon Snow, ladies and gentlemen. He is auditioning for Big Brother Canada. Let's all wish him the best of luck. I'm rooting for you, my friend, as I'm sure all your friends and family are. The entire country is going to be watching, so best of luck. I certainly hope you win it, you pull through, and the next time I talk to you, you are the winner of this latest season of Big Brother Canada, and we'll have you back on the show.
Thank you so much, bro.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, John, and I'm sure we will.
You, bro.
Thank you. I'm sure we will catch you down the road.
100%, man. Peace, buddy.
All right, John. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bro. For sure.
Well, there it is. There you go. There you have it. My interview with Canadian rapper, entertainer, comedian, future Big Brother Canada champion, Jon Snow. John, I want to thank you once again for reaching out and for wanting to appear on the Beats and Speaks podcast. It was a real pleasure to have you, a real pleasure to go back and forth with you. Good luck with Big Brother Canada this year. If you want to find my guest, Jon Snow, you can find him on Instagram at Jon Snow, King of the North, and on Facebook and YouTube by searching for Jon Snow. But of course, all those links will be in the description below. To find me, yours truly, Leigh Dickey, and the Beats and Speaks podcast, you can go to my official website, leightdickey.com. Of course, the Beats and Speaks podcast is available on my official website, leightdickey.com, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and wherever you find your favorite podcast. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on YouTube as well by searching for Leigh Dickey TV. Leave us a review. You can leave reviews on iTunes and your favorite podcast app and player of choice. But you can also leave reviews on my official Facebook page, which is facebook.com/LeighTDickey, and I will feature them right here on the Beats and Speaks podcast, as well as my official website, LeighTDickey.com. But there you go, my interview with Canadian rapper, entertainer, comedian, future Big Brother Canada champion, Jon Snow. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, find us on your favorite podcast app and player of choice. Subscribe to the Beats and Speaks podcast. Leave us reviews. Go find Jon Snow on Instagram at Jon Snow, King of the North, and by searching for Jon Snow on YouTube, just with Jon Snow. But of course, all those links will be in the description below. Subscribe to both of us. Subscribe to the show. And if you want to be a future guest on an episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast, please email me at leightdickey@gmail.com. All that information will be in the description below. Take advantage of it so you and I can have a good old-fashioned conversation and you can hear yourself on a future episode right here on the Beats and Speaks podcast. Thank you all for listening, but I've been Leigh Dickey, and this has been another episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast. We will see you all and talk to you all next Friday for a brand new episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast right here on LeighTDickey.com and your favorite podcast app and player of choice, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, you name it, we're there. Find us, like us, subscribe to us, share, comment, and become a guest, okay? Because I want you guys on this show. I want to hear your stories, and I want to help you tell them, okay? Let's just have a good old-fashioned good time and conversation. All right, I'm Leigh Dickey, and this has been another episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast. I'm signing off. We'll talk to you all again soon. Peace.